Hi, this is John Cullen. Welcome to another episode of Hypothetically Speaking. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at a recent interview that Tucker Carlson did regarding the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting. He had a guest on the show. We're going to take a look at the clip together. I'm not sure who this guy is. I guess he's an author, a writer for a magazine or something like that. I don't know. But the fact that Tucker brought him up to Maine to talk about the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, and we're scrubbing ahead in their interview about 35 minutes, where they start talking about who shot the kid on the roof of AGR. And we're going to jump in at that moment and listen. Tucker says, the 8 shots or something, where did the 8 shots go? And we're going to pick up the conversation there. And we're going to critique this a little bit. So let's listen to Tucker Carlson talk to this guy. His name is Sean Davis. And let's listen to what these guys have to say and see if they've got all the facts straight or not. So let's take a listen.
Those 8 shots. I think they were only able to find actual bullet fragments from 2. So there were 10 shots fired total. There were 8 from Crooks. There was 1 from a local law enforcement officer who shot almost simultaneously with Crooks's 8th shot. So you have 1, 2, 3, you had a burst of 3, then you had a burst of 5, and then the 5 all went high. One of them hit a hydraulic line on one of those telehandlers or low.
All right, I'm going to stop him there as far as he says they went high. We'll take a look at where they went. I'm not sure how he knows where they went. But I think we've already got some inconsistencies here. So let's roll back a little bit. And again, Tucker's asking about the 8 shots, right? There's 8 shots taken. What do we know about those 8 shots?
Those 8 shots. I think they were only able to find actual bullet fragments from 2.
All right, so that's not true. So starting right there, right at the get-go, none of the bullet fragments from the shooter on the roof were recovered. Recovering bullet fragments from the Secret Service guys is irrelevant. We don't need those. So of the 8 rounds, they found 8 brass casings supposedly on the roof of AGR. None of the rounds were recovered. Unless Representative Clay Higgins has seen something different. He's on the committee. They may have shown him something different. But when I checked I went to Perplexity, AI. And at Perplexity, I checked to see, is there any stories or any evidence that rounds were recovered from Butler? And the answer to that is no. So let's take a listen to Representative Clay Higgins talking about Zalaponi. This guy, Sean Davis, is going to talk about Zalaponi, and he's going to say that Zalaponi takes the shot right after the 8th shot. And apparently that's what happened. But let's listen to that part one more time. So he's going to be talking about a guy named Zalaponi, and then we'll go listen to Clay Higgins talk about Zalaponi and the fact that there was no evidence. So let's listen to this part.
So there were 10 shots fired total. There were 8.
All right, so there's 10 audible shots. We hear a burst of 3. We then hear a burst of what some say are 5, but from other microphones, I think we only hear 4.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
And that's odd. All right, but let's just go with 3 and 5 because it makes the math easy. That makes 8. Right after that 5th shot, we hear another shot. So that's the 9th shot. And in the first video that I published, which Chris Martinson used in his video, I said the shooter's now dead because the assumption was that was a counter sniper shooting the shooter, because then we don't hear any gunfire for quite some time, and then we hear another shot ring out. So the assumption in that first week was, well, then that 9th shot right there took out the shooter, and then we hear another shot later. So that was odd. Let's keep listening.
From crooks. There was one from a local law enforcement officer who
That's Zalaponi.
shot almost simultaneously with Crooks's 8th shot.
Let's go listen to the clip with Clay Higgins, and Clay Higgins is now going to talk about what happened here with Officer Zalaponi. All right, let's go listen to that now. All right, so this is Representative Clay Higgins. He's on the official panel, the official committee investigating the assassination, and he's talking now about Zalaponi, the guy who raises his rifle, supposedly takes a shot, thinks he hits the shooter on the roof. Let's listen to Higgins go through this because this is really important.
Shot number 9. During the interviews with the Secret Service and FBI, they commonly step over shot number 9. They say Crooks fired 8 rounds, and then the Secret Service fired the killing shot number 10. But there was a shot number 9 fired, was there not, Mr. Lenz?
There was.
Okay, Commander, I'm gonna quote from the transcribed interview of Aaron Zalaponi. That's a tactical SWAT officer under your command that took shot number 9. So my final question, if I may, to the doctor. You stated, sir, and I know you're doing your best. You performed the autopsy. I've observed your work. I think it was very professional work, in my opinion. You stated that there was only one bullet wound. I accept that you had only one observable bullet wound. Are you there, doctor?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Could the injuries on Crook's shoulders have been caused by a combined impact of Butler County ESU shot number 9 striking somewhere in the vicinity of the buttstock of Crook's rifle, and some fragmenting from that impact? Could the injuries on Crook's shoulders have been caused by a combination of shot number 9 and shot number 10? Is that possible?
The body, there was no evidence on the body of that occurrence.
There you go, sir. That's different than impossible.
All right, so what we've got here is the officer takes a shot, thinks he hits the kid on the roof, but according to the medical examiner, who's a doctor, he said, no, there's no evidence that a second round hit the kid on the roof. The stuff that's in his shoulder that we see in the x-ray appears to be the stuff from the buttstock and stuff from the round that came through his head. So we'll take a closer look at that in a second. But the net of it is the stuff we see in the x-ray in the shoulder is not from a second round. It's from either the buttstock or from that first round. A second round would have caused another entry wound, another exit wound, and all that. So let's go back to the Tucker interview piece and pick up, now that we've listened to Clay Higgins address the Zalaponi piece. So Zalaponi says he shot his gun. I don't know if that was tested, verified, what have you. And he thinks he hit the kid on the roof. And the kid on the roof stops shooting after Zalaponi claims he takes that shot. So what, did the shot just whiz by the kid and the kid stopped and lifted his head up and that's when they shot him? I don't know. But let's go back to the Tucker interview and let's pick it up there.
So you have 1, 2, 3, you had a burst of 3, then you had a burst of 5. And then the 5 all went high. One of them hit a hydraulic line on one of those telehandlers or lulls or cranes behind it. So it starts spewing hydraulic fluid everywhere and you see it drop all of a sudden after the hydraulic line gets punctured, if you watch the video again. So I think that was from that second group. So it was 3 and then 5. As Crooks fired his 8th shot, a local officer fires his gun at Crooks. He swears he got him. There's no forensic medical evidence that he did, but there's no firing from Crooks after that point, after that 8th shot. And then 15 seconds later comes the shot that kills Crooks.
No way.
15 seconds.
No way. It's not 15 seconds later. So let's take a look at that. Let me run the video that I originally put together. This is the same video that Chris Martinson used in his video. And let's time from the last shot that we hear coming from AGR to the shot that was taken by the Hercules counter snipers on the rooftop. And let's see how long that is. Is that 15 seconds, as this gentleman just claimed? And listen to Tucker.
And the reason that happened was because nobody had eyes on the roof. So you had your sniper.
15 seconds?
Yep.
No.
So that's an entire magazine worth of... you could fire an entire magazine.
Now you see,
easy.
All right, so now they're getting off in a whole conversation about this. But that's not true. It's not 15 seconds. So we're going to go to the video right now. Let's clear this up. So these dopes are, again, they're off in the weeds talking about stuff that didn't happen. It's not 15 seconds. So is that a full magazine? It's irrelevant. It wasn't 15 seconds. So let's go look at that video now, and we'll take a look at that.
Take a look at what happened.
Now the issue is it's not 15 seconds. So let's go back and let's time it. And you guys can time it with me. I'm going to mark my watch and you can mark your watch. From the time that we hear the shot that sounds like Zalaponi's shot, which is almost synchronous with that 8th shot, to the time we hear the counter sniper shot, mark your watch and see, is that 15 seconds? And I'm here to tell you the answer is no. So why are these guys saying it's 15 seconds? So one more time, here we go. Mark your watch at the end of those 8 shots.
Take a look at what happened.
It's not 15 seconds. I have like 8 or 9 seconds. So what are these guys talking about? Why are they saying it's 15 seconds? If it's not 15 seconds, why are they saying it's 15 seconds? So I find that a little bit odd. Why is this guy saying, oh, there's a 15-second delay? That's misinformation. Let's continue.
AR, you could easily unload a mag.
Wow, that is crazy town.
Yeah, so you had...
But it's not true. So again, these guys are off on a tangent that's not based in reality. It's not 15 seconds.
The sniper who's on the roof who takes the shot, he's been watching. So like if you are Crooks, if you're where their shooter is and I'm where Trump is, the guy who shot him is looking here and all the way over here the whole time. He's looking to his left and back around.
Yes.
So he hears the shots. He has to get up, orient himself to where the shots are coming from, where if he's got like earmuffs on or ear protection on.
Right, that's also not true. The Hercules counter snipers on the far building rooftop did not reorient themselves after they heard gunfire. They reoriented themselves before they heard the gunfire, so they had been alerted. It's not after, and we know that watching video footage, and we've got photographs and video of them. So this is not true. They turn before, and if I have that clip, I'll put that in here now.
And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of...
That can be kind of hard to do because those play tricks with locating sound.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So he's got to locate the guy where the shots are coming from, has to make identification of the guy who's got the gun, and then has to fire at him. So like, I don't even blame that guy. Cause he was told to watch this sector. He's watching it. But yeah, 15 seconds.
No, it's not 15 seconds. So yes, the Hercules counter snipers on that rooftop. We're talking about the rooftop closest to the pond, and they are watching the sector away from where the shooter is. But they reorient before the shots ring out. Somehow they were notified that there was a shooter on the rooftop. And you can see them in some of the video footage lifting up their gear, turning around and aiming towards AGR, towards American Glass Research. So this account that he's providing is simply not true. Let's continue.
And he fires one shot.
Who is it? Okay. With a 308?
300 Win Mag.
Wow.
That's a big boy gun.
That's a scary gun.
So it's 300 Win Mag.
Really? Is that what they use?
Yeah, Black Hills ammunition. So the cartridge was Black Hills.
Yeah.
It was a 210 grain hollow point tip on it. So
that is
now, just so that you guys know, the 300 blackout rounds that I keep lying around here, those are 210 grain here. These are 210 grain. They just don't have the 300 Win Mag amount of cartridge behind it. So the bullet is the same size as this bullet. This is a 210 grain bullet. But the 300 Win Mag has got a brass case back here. It looks like an elephant gun. It's huge, and it holds so much gunpowder. It's remarkable. So the bullet's the same size, but a tremendous amount of gunpowder. This is 300 blackout subsonic with a 210 grain bullet, and these guys are oohing and eyeing about a 210 grain bullet. Here's one right here. All right, so again, trying to take some of the mystery out of this nonsense.
So that for people who don't shoot, that's so much larger than the 223 or 5.56 round that Crooks is shooting. I mean,
and the cartridge is huge.
Yeah, it's like $4 a cartridge.
I mean, it's like that's a big boy cartridge, and when you fire a 300 Win Mag, like you feel that. You get fatigued pretty quick.
Someone come to my range, just at my house, and with his grandfather's 300 Win Mag, we were just shooting on Sunday afternoon, and he just charges the thing, and I was like, man, no more of that. That's just too loud. I can't deal with it.
It's so loud.
Yeah, it shakes my molars.
Yeah, you go to a range where someone's shooting like 300 or up, and you're like,
it's impolite.
I don't know. Put a suppressor on it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
yeah, and 210 grain. That's a big bullet.
Yes.
And so I think he hits him from 155 yards, and it hit him in the lip.
No, he hits him from 190 yards. So Trump is 152 yards from the shooter on the roof of AGR. The shooter, the counter snipers, the Hercules counter snipers on the rooftop are 190 yards, not 155. So again, Sean Davis is incorrect here. Let's continue.
Goes through the face, out the neck, but then back into his back. And they recovered a fragment of the mushroomed bullet from Crooks's body.
Well, he didn't suffer.
All right, let me show you guys something. So this is, I've been working on a 3D model of the Crook's head and where the wound entered the mouth, where it exited the neck. And so I've been working on this. This is just sort of the first pass. It's kind of terrible, but it'll get better. And the idea here is to demonstrate where the wound came in, where the wound came out, where was the exit, And then to establish the angle, because what you'll see here is that if the head is erect, the round would have been coming from, a helicopter. But that's not what happened, right? So if the round was fired from a horizontal position, we need to tilt that head forward. And so that's how we would find the head would be in a forward tilt, the same number of degrees as you see this trajectory rod sticking up. So whatever that is, let's say it's 18 degrees, 23 degrees, whatever it is, whatever that is, we'd have to tilt the head down so that that rod is then horizontal. Make sense? All right, let's continue.
Not with the 210 grain from a 300 Win Mag.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about the cop who says he shot Crooks. Where was he?
So there was this furious action going on by the AGR building. I believe there were either 4 or 5 different local law enforcement agencies. So you had the Pennsylvania State Police, you had the troopers, you had Butler County Police. So Butler County was the county where Butler is. You had the Butler Township Police.
Yes.
You had the Beaver County, I think sheriffs. So they're one county west of Butler. And then you had the Washington County, which is southwest of Butler. So you had 5 different local law enforcement. The Washington guys, I believe, were down by the horse ring.
Yep.
Which is probably a good 400 to 500 yards away from everything.
Interesting. 400 to 500 yards, like 488 yards away, like Eric Prince said. All right, so he's right about that. So the Washington SWAT sniper was down by the horse ring. And I'll show you the photograph that was taken by that sniper from his vantage point. All right, so this is the Washington sniper's vantage point. This is his rifle. And I believe this would be the person that took the shot that President Trump is referring to when he talks about the 400-something yard shot. So Sean Davis just said 400, 500 yards, 400 to 500 yards. Eric Prince told us that Secret Service took a 488-yard shot, was very explicit. The problem is that the counter snipers on the rooftop at behind Trump, the ones that are closest to the pond, are 190 yards from the shooter on the roof of AGR. So where do you get 400, 500 yards? Where do you get 488 yards if the distance is 190? Are they talking about another shooter? Another victim? Did the Washington sniper shoot somebody 488 yards away? And if he did, well, what's 488 yards away from that guy?
Between a tree, behind a tree.
Through a tree?
Through a tree.
Thank God
Between a
you
tree,
looked at that
behind
chart.
a tree.
Through a tree?
Through a tree.
That was some shit.
I have to give the Secret Service sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper, because he didn't know there was a problem.
Well, how about the one shot by the Secret Service?
And he was able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards.
That was a long shot, too.
Yes, sir.
Thank God
Between a
you
tree,
looked at that
behind
chart.
a tree.
Through a tree?
Through a tree.
That was some shit.
And if he didn't do that, a lot more people could have been badly hurt.
But they had fairly good visual coverage of everything. So it was mostly the Butler and Beaver County people. So they're furiously searching around. You've got one guy who tried to climb on the roof because they're furiously searching. He climbs on the roof. He's got his partner hoists him up. So he's kind of holding on like this to the roof.
Remember, the question was about Zalaponi. All right, the question was about the guy who took the shot at the kid on the roof. So he's asking about Zalaponi, and he's talking about the guy climbing up on the roof. So he's avoiding the answer for some reason.
Looks up and sees the shooter right there. He says the shooter turns on him and aims him. And he said, I don't know what happened next. I don't know if I lost my grip. He said, next thing I know, I'm on the ground. I'm on the concrete. He said, there's no way for me to pull my gun because he's like hanging, like doing a pull up. It's like I'm hanging there. I'm not going to be able to
No.
So he says, I don't remember exactly what happened. All I know is I saw him. Crooks turned and aimed his rifle at me. And the next thing I know, I'm getting myself up off the concrete.
Damn. So who is the cop who says he shot Crooks?
I think it was a Beaver County cop.
At some distance, though.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't right on him, but he had him in his sights, fired one round.
With a rifle.
With a rifle. Swears he shot him.
But there's no evidence that he did.
There's no forensic evidence in Crooks's body that he was shot.
Let's take a look at that footage. Let's take a look at the footage of Zalaponi raising his rifle and getting one shot off. Let's take a look at that.
Take a look at what happened.
But Crooks stopped firing after the 8th round.
That's correct.
Which was simultaneous with the round from that cop.
That's true.
So, did he hit the gun maybe?
No.
There's some speculation that he might have hit the stock.
No.
Well, it sounds like he stopped the shooting.
He absolutely did. Whether he hit him or not, he absolutely did.
No. He did, to say he absolutely stopped the shooting, you don't know that. It's coincident. So Zalaponi fires a shot potentially at the same moment that the kid stopped shooting. You don't know for certain that he stopped the shooting. The kid might have sneezed. The kid might have had a sneezing fit, sneezed 4 times. You don't know this for a fact. So Sean Davis doesn't seem to be very good at this. Let's continue.
Obviously more than 8 rounds in it. And I assume Crooks's did as well. He had unfired rounds in the mag when the rifle was recovered, right?
They recovered, I think, all 8 shell casings.
No, but he still had.
All right, so that wasn't the question. The question was, did he have unfired rounds in his magazine? And has that been detailed? And I think the answer to that is no, we don't know. Nobody has come back and said, or in the reports, I don't believe, I could be wrong, and has said, and the magazine had 22 unfired rounds, and they were Remington, they were Hornady, what were they? I don't know that we've heard that, and we should. So they should be telling us the magazine that we recovered from the weapon had 20, 22, 12 unfired rounds, 2. I have magazines that only hold 10 rounds. And if you live in California, that's all you're allowed to have. So what if he had a 10-round magazine and there were only 2 rounds left? What are these two talking about here? They're speculating as if he had a 30-round magazine. I don't know that he did. Did he? How many rounds were in the magazine? He could have a 30-round magazine that only has 10 rounds in it. Let's continue.
Ammunition in the magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So what I'm asking is, it sounds like the local cop stopped the shooting.
Yeah. He didn't run out. He didn't stop shooting because he ran out of ammo.
Exactly.
Correct.
How do you know that?
So it was not the Secret Service that stopped this assassination attempt. It was local cops. I mean,
yeah, that's when the shooting stopped. Yeah, it stopped permanently when he got a 210 grain Hornady tip through his upper lip.
Yeah.
But the shooting had been stopped prior to that.
Wow. 15 seconds, as noted, is a very long time.
That's not true.
Why?
Because they had no eyes on him. You had your 2 snipers on the roof in the north barn, and that was the number 2 unit, how they were kind of categorized in all the documents. They never saw him because they had a gigantic tree in their way. It was impossible.
So that is correct. There's a tree in the way. They can't see him. But the problem here is that Tucker put together a video production about the Butler assassination attempt, called it The Art of the Surge or something like that. And in Tucker's video that he produced, they sort of make it look like the northern counter snipers are the ones who take the shot to kill the kid on the roof. So it seems like Tucker and Tucker's people are confused about the actual sequence of events and who did what. Let's take a look at Tucker's video, and we're only going to look at a slight portion of it where they depict counter snipers taking the shot, killing the bad guy. The problem is the ones that they're going to show you, they never take a shot. What they're showing you is them recoiling from being shot at. Let's watch this video together and you guys tell me what you think. But it looks to me like Tucker's team is confused. Tucker's confused. They don't seem to understand the sequence of events here. Watch this.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart.
Right there. So they depict that these guys up on the rooftop are the ones that take that final shot. And they don't. In fact, this moment that he's depicting here, this is the first shot, not the 10th. So the moment that these guys recoil back, that Tucker's team is making it look like they took the shot that killed the kid on the roof. That's not what this is. This is the first shot. They jump backwards. And these are not the guys that shoot the kid on the roof. This is the northern sniper team. It's the other guys, the guys to their right, behind them. They're the ones who shoot the kid on the roof. But Tucker's producers put this in the video at the 10th shot. Watch where they put this one more time. Watch this. But it's like that's the wrong guys. All right, so he's portraying the northern snipers taking that final shot when it was the southern snipers. The guys he's showing you, they never actually shoot anything. They do not fire their weapons. The other aspect of this that's a little bit uncomfortable is that these guys have testified that they were being shot at. And nobody seems to be mentioning that.
They actually thought they were being engaged because they could hear the sonic crack of the rounds passing by them. And they actually thought they were being shot at, not Trump.
Continue.
So it's interesting. We all watched that footage. Everyone's wondering who got him. So they see the guy who's kind of kneeling down. He's on the big tripod. People automatically assumed, oh, well, he did it. And then he's got the guy prone next to him. No, well, he must have been the one to do it. You see him, like he's either looking through, I think, his binoculars. He might have been looking through his scope. He hears the gunshots and he pops up. Do you remember this in the video?
Yeah.
Pops up and he kind of looks around and you're like, why is he off the glass? That's weird.
What everyone thinks is the infamous shot, and it's not.
Take a look at what happened.
All right, so you hear 3 shots. Boom, boom, boom. Unsuppressed, pretty clear. You see the guy, the counter sniper with the tripod. He's on his optic. He pops his head up, pops right back down. You see the rifle tilt down, tilt up, and he backs up. You see the other guy who's prone actually hunkering his head down and hunkering down. Now, yes, I understand it's their job to stay on scope and engage a threat. I understand that. And shooting, they actually thought, and again, this is inside information coming from the source, they actually thought they were being engaged because they could hear the sonic crack of the rounds passing by them. And they actually thought they were being shot at, not Trump.
He doesn't know where it came from. Like those two guys on that north barn are furiously looking where it is.
There's no way you could know.
All right, so hang on, Tigers. They testified that they were being shot at. Testified with their attorneys that they were being shot at. And Sean Davis is telling you, but they've got no idea where the bullets are coming from. Well, that's not true. Vanessa Broussard was working for RSBN, Right Side Broadcast Network, that day. She's no longer with them, but at the time she was with RSBN, and she was on the microphone. And Vanessa Broussard is watching these guys, and she's reporting. Let's listen to what Vanessa Broussard had to say the day of the event in real time that kind of counters what Sean Davis is telling us here. He's like, oh no, they've got no idea where the rounds are coming from. I'm not so sure, Sean. Let's listen to what Vanessa Broussard has to say.
He did not. Secret Service quickly erupted. You can see the snipers on the building behind the podium aiming at the trees. If you look to our left, there are trees in the distance, and that seems to be where the gunfire is coming from.
So I'm not sure what these guys are talking about. It seems to me like the counter snipers on the roof turned in the direction where they thought the gunshots were coming from. So I don't know why Sean thinks they were confused. It doesn't appear that way to me. Let's continue.
It'd be impossible to know.
Yeah.
Unless you were had someone looking there.
Exactly, which they didn't. And then you have the counter sniper team lead who had convinced himself that because they had local cops in the building, that was their job to be watching that, even though it was physically impossible for them to do. And they were never told they had to do that. And then the one guy who had a sight line to that was assigned a sector that was exact opposite of it. How that's a lot of incompetence.
It's unbelievable. So 3 people were shot, 2 in addition to President Trump.
Yeah, that was your question. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So you said, where did the bullets go?
Yeah.
So 3 people were shot. Corey Comparator, the firefighter, he was shot. 2 other men were shot. We know
2 other men.
Yes. There were 4 people shot. Trump, 2 men who were shot and didn't die, and Corey, who was killed by a bullet.
Yeah, right next to my producer, like right next to him, which is wild. Yeah, he was right there. He said he was covered in blood. Wow. From it. Yeah, I'm only saying that because there's a lot of drama.
Yeah.
It's not just Trump getting shot in the face.
Yeah, man died.
Yeah, was murdered.
Yeah.
And 2 others were shot. Do we know anything about them or how they fared?
They're alive and well. There was an interview with them by one of the networks a couple weeks ago, but they're alive and well. They're talking.
So Tucker doesn't know how many victims there were. He doesn't know that David Dutch was shot twice. He doesn't know that James Copenhaver was shot twice. It seems like Tucker's pretty unaware of what happened that day. And that's pretty remarkable given they produced a video. His producer was there.
About it. Obviously, they'll carry scars with it forever. But I don't believe they were permanently disabled in any way.
Damn.
But they couldn't account for all the bullets.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. You know, something nicks a bleacher and goes off into the ground. You're never finding a bullet.
These are 22 caliber bullets.
Something nicks a bleacher. Something nicks a bleacher. I wonder what he's talking about. And then you're never going to find that. Did Sean do any work to kind of figure out which rounds went where? Like, does he have any idea of, where the first round went, where the second round went? And how does he know that? How does he know that a round might have hit the bleacher?
Utilizing going forward, particular witnesses you think that we should have, any thoughts you have about what and whom we should be bringing in to testify?
One of the videos that I've seen online is from a gentleman named John Colin, who talks about the possibility of a second shooter, and he shows a video, Miss Lee, where in this video, he shows a bullet traveling down a path and the disruption that round supposedly makes, and then flies into one of the stadium fence railings. That shows that it would have been very, very difficult for that round to travel the path that it did had it come from Thomas Crooks. I think that you need to bring this gentleman in, see his evidence, and if you don't think it holds water, then you need to make that assessment. John Colin is somebody I think you guys should bring in here and look at the video evidence that he has of a bullet traveling, in a trajectory, in a path that would not have been able to come from Thomas Crooks.
And I'd like to just echo this. The one thing that doesn't lie is bullet trajectory and also the coefficients that it carries. And I think that Eli and I had talked about this prior to the hearing, but also multiple times about John Cullen's video that does show, if you look at people who were injured and the actual line of sight and where it was to the stage, just kind of what the possibilities were and how many shots were truly taken.
The most parsimonious explanation for what you've got captured in this single video, we don't have to worry about aligning it or anything like that, is you've got 3 kinetic events in a straight line that tells you had an object, but you definitely have the strong suggestion of a line that you could extrapolate from.
I wonder. Well, let's take a look, because it seems to me that this is an important aspect of the story, and that's what happened as far as these rounds that were fired, and then how did these rounds, where did they go, where did they come from, and how do we account for them? And so the 3D model comes into play from that point. In other words, by modeling the shots themselves and creating the venue in 3D so that we can have a better understanding of who was where, etc., we can get a better understanding of which shot went where. And we've got Copenhaver, we've got David Dutch, we've got the president at the podium, we've got the guy in the corner, the lucky guy. So the guy who's closest to the Jumbotron, that's James Copenhaver. James Copenhaver's hit in the, what do they call that? Like the deltoid, just below the shoulder area. So just above the bicep, I think that's the deltoid. So he's hit in his left deltoid, and then he's hit in the abdomen. The guy who's immediately behind him with the hat on, that's David Dutch. David Dutch is shot twice, once in the liver, once in the chest. And the guy in the corner is not hit at all. He never gets shot. So these are the 2 gentlemen who are wounded. They are each hit twice. Trump is hit once. And the round that hits Trump's ear is this pink line. And if you follow the pink line, it doesn't go to Dutch or Copenhaver. It goes right below this guy in the corner's hand by the railing and passes through the railing over there. So that round doesn't hit 2 things. It just hits Trump's ear and it's gone. But the other rounds here, and where did they go? How does Sean Davis know any of this stuff? Did he do any of this work? Now, one of the problems that we're going to have, and we're going to expose this right now, these are the guys on the rooftop. Now, these guys cannot see the shooter because of the trees. And I believe they were being shot at from the tree line off to their right, and that's why we see them turn to the right, to the trees, as Vanessa Broussard just told us. So I believe they were taking fire off to their right. That's why they turned to the right. And they cannot see the kid on the roof. It's the other guys on the other rooftop that take the shot. The guys all the way down here on this other rooftop. They take the shot at the kid. They have the angle. All right, so this is somewhat of a complex scenario, trying to understand which shots are coming from where, which shots hit the telehandler, which shot hit Corey Comparatori, which shot hit the president's ear. And these guys are dealing with it in what seems to me like a pretty flippant way. Like Tucker doesn't even know that there's 2 victims here, 2 guys who were shot twice. And Tucker seems unaware of it. Tucker's production team makes it appear as if these guys, the guys who are closest to AGR, took the final shot, even though there's a tree in the way. And so to me, that just seemed a little bit like, deceptive editing or something like that. So again, there's a lot of science here to figuring out what happened, and him saying, this went here and that went there, and we don't know this, and we got it just seems a bit flippant to me. Let's go back and see if there's anything more these guys want to say.
Just to be clear.
Yep.
These are
so they were 223 caliber bullets in a 5.56 cartridge.
right.
Yeah.
But the bullet itself is 22 caliber.
Yep.
These are tiny
Very small.
Yeah.
People who don't shoot guns and think ARs are massive, big, powerful guns, they'd be shocked at how tiny 223 rounds are.
Right. The point is
They're
the
like
velocity. The point
exactly
is how fast they're going. But it's not a 210 grain Hornady tip 300
Right.
mag. Right. Which you could not mistake for anything but like a bullet.
Right.
Yeah. So, wow. Okay. So we know nothing about the shooter. We know nothing about why he did this, his beliefs, who he spoke to. We know nothing about him.
He's a cipher. Yeah. No, literally
Completely.
nothing.
He's the only 20-year-old with no social media presence and apparently no cutlery, silverware in his house.
So, yeah, I remember.
So we're just going to skip over the whole part that these guys testified that they were being shot at. So with their attorneys present, they said, hey, we're being shot at. I think that's kind of a big deal to ignore the testimony of these rooftop counter snipers saying, hey, we think we were taking fire and we think it was suppressed. And it seems that these guys are ignoring that testimony. And to me, that feels a little limited hangout-ish, hypothetically speaking. I'm John Cullen. Thanks for joining.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise before my world implodes. And tonight had something wonderful. My bad habits lead to late nights, sitting alone, conversations with a stranger I barely know, swearing this will be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to white eyes staring into space, and I know I lose control of the things that I say. Yeah, I was looking for a way out, now I can't escape. Nothing happens after two. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you. My bad habits lead to you. My bad habits lead to you. Every pure intention ends when the good times start. Falling over everything to reach the first time spark. It started on a neon light and then it all got dark. I only know how to go too far. My bad habits lead to